Good afternoon, family. It's Hitting the Angles back with you again today. We've got Michael Woodbury with us, Arthur Surgeon, Anthony Burgess, and myself, Samiya Smalls. So glad to have you here with us today. Today we're going to talk about mental acuity, gentlemen, why it's important for us to utilize our mental sharpness with all the different areas that we're involved in. So I will start because basically I feel like in order for us to be mentally acute or sharp, we need to make sure that we are spiritually aligned. In order for us to make good decisions, in order for us to be able to work with other people in the world, we need to make sure that we're in alignment with God. And so that's the way that you prepare your mind, by spending time with God. And then he will direct you on the way you should be thinking about certain things, about the way you should interact with other people, how you set your day so that you can make sure it can be a positive experience for you and the other people you connect with. Now, Michael, tell us how we utilize our mental sharpness to make sure that we make good decisions with how we choose to eat and put good things in our bodies.
Well, that's it. What you put in your body can definitely build your mental sharpness. Everything that we put in our body affects one discipline or another. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, all of that goes in. So as far as herbalism, there are plenty of herbs out there to cleanse the mind, to sharpen the mind. And that mental acuity needs to be applied, as a discipline. Like we spoke earlier, I was saying that rosemary, one of the more simple herbs, that pretty much everyone is familiar with, just its components within itself, not even consuming it, just smelling it, makes the mental acuity sharper. And I mentioned also that they're doing more research now, and how rosemary is being used in treatment of dementia and Alzheimer's. And like I said, there's plenty of other herbs that can help you with your mental acuity with proper rest, proper balance, getting with your good sleep, cleaning your entire system. Because once your system is clean, then everything else starts to fall in place. Right now, with this particular season, there's a herb that's growing everywhere. It grows most countries that you'll see. It's very, very visual. It's called goldenrod. It's in bloom right now. You'll see on the edge of woods and things of that nature, this tall plant with bright yellow flowers on the top. Goldenrod. Goldenrod is can be used like a total body cleanse. It helps to regulate all of the system. You can use that in conjunction with the other herbs to cleanse your mind and bring up the acuity of your mental.
All right, everybody, we need to put those down on our list now so we can start incorporating those. Arthur, tell me how mental acuteness is going to help us be better businessmen and women and entrepreneurs.
Before I say something, I want to let Anthony answer that, because I think with investment is very important in investments.
Indeed.
What you got for us, Anthony?
But I tell you, first thing I want everybody to do is take a deep breath. I'm going to tell you, mental health as it relates to investing is probably the most important part, because as you spoke earlier about your spiritual, and then as I was relating to the arthritis syndrome I was going through on the right side of my body this week, I really didn't feel like doing much of anything. As it relates to your diet, I'm quite sure that might have encouraged my right side of my body to hurt a little bit more than it should have. Your mental health is impacted greatly if you're not prepared, if you're not preparing yourself on a daily basis to place a trade, to understand what news just was reported that might impact your trade. So what I try to do on a daily basis, I try to always pray before I start my day. And then after I finish my prayer, I turn my TV on and I try to figure out what news is going to impact the trade that I make. I try to make sure I'm very aware of what's going on in the marketplace before I make a trade. And that helps with the preparing me to trade that day. That helps me be more positive, and my mental capacity is much more greater to handle the blows of the day and the challenges going through a pandemic that I'm going to face. We're going through a lot, as a society. So we have to do everything we can in our marriage, keep it together. We have to be working in all those areas, spiritually, financially. We have to make sure all those areas, and we dot in our I's.
I agree with you fully.
Indeed.
And I'm going to say this, though, go on, piggyback Anthony. A lot of times, especially when we look at small business, now we're not talking about corporate America, because corporate America, they have learned to minimize mental health in there, so they spread out decisions amongst multiple people. They have guidelines and procedures on how things can be done to try to control it. But in small business, it's very important because a lot of times when you look at a small business and you go in there and they say, I'm in financial trouble, or the process is not working right, or we can't grow our company, the first thing you do is look at the CEO or look at the president or the owner, because you'll find out a lot of the issues is coming from them. And we try to talk to them and let them understand that you have to get your mental health and be in good mental health in order to run this business spiritually, far as even with the food you process, the food you eat, and how you make decisions, what you allow to come into your mind during the time of this, and what's your surroundings. Because a lot of times with small business, the owner is the problem in the company, and changing their thinking and changing the way they see things usually turn around and fix the problems that they're in a business. And I give you a good example is a lot of times you go to a business and they say, hey, listen, I want to grow my business. I want to go out and expand and buy a company. Company costs $200,000. And they're trying every way to figure out how to buy that company. And then when you talk to them, say, hey, listen, let's go and let's borrow from the bank. No, I ain't doing it from the bank. No, let's do some research. Let's look at the bank. No, I'm not doing it from the bank. I want to do it this way. I'm going to go try to get the money up. And the reason why is because of their fear. Because what's been going inside them has given them fear that you don't go to the bank and you try to go these processes. And when you try these processes, they don't work. When somebody brings something new, you shut down. And you're not listening. You don't go educate yourself. Just like you said, you can come in here and talk all day long about what you eat, but if you don't go out there and do your own investigation or even try it, then it's not going to work.
That's the most important part.
All day long.
Absolutely.
Even with spiritually, if you're not getting yourself spiritually and we're close to God, and we can talk about all day long, you're not going to receive the rewards that's given to you. And I think we have to learn as business owners to first be open-minded, to realize that when we talk about this, that health has to be important. Physical health, as far as what you eat, mentally health, as far as what you think, what you believe in. And also you have to have time to do research and study. You also, one of the most important part about this is you also have to have me time. You can't work 24. And this just don't work for business owners. This is including for your house.
Amen.
Indeed.
If you're doing nothing but raising kids and not taking your time, think about a house. If a mother in there, and we talking about a house with husband and wife, they're in there, and the mother is having a bad day, it throws the whole house off. Because now the house is not functioning because everybody trying to figure out how to fix mother. What's wrong? The husband's trying to figure everybody, because usually long as she's going smooth, everybody else in the house is going smooth. And that's why it's so important to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, your health, and the things you do in life, and you are doing research, and you are having your me time, and you are putting time into you.
Yeah. And I'd like to go on that. as far as talking about health and overall, it has to be a 360-degree circle. You have to work at everything that you're doing to make sure that you are creating a proper circle for yourself, and your health isn't only, of course, what you consume physically as far as substance, but what you consume in your mind. Absolutely. What are you filling your mind with? We laughed earlier this week when, I mentioned the fact that I never had a telephone until 2009, 2010. I got my first telephone. I never had a television until 2000, I think it was. And the only reason I got a television then, because when I met my now ex-wife and she moved from her home to my home, she was a television person. So I got a television for her, but I never had a television, never had a need for television. I like books and sticks and rocks and dirt and animals and bugs, and that was, I was quite satisfied with those things. But like I was saying, consuming everything in every way. What are you consuming with your mind? When you're constantly feeding your mind garbage, your acuity goes down, because it's not only what you hold consciously, it's what you hold subconsciously. Your subconscious is what really guides you
powerful,
and directs everything that you do, whether you realize it or not. Your subconscious. And if you're filling your subconscious with a bunch of negativity and a bunch of garbage, it's going to manifest. It's going to manifest. If you're feeding your body a bunch of garbage, it's going to manifest in a way that a lot of us don't want to deal with, in a way that sometimes once you get down the road, getting back up the road is a much more difficult task than it was getting there. You heard old folks say, trouble is a lot easier to get into than it is to get out of.
So true.
And that's that thing, when you are paying attention to your health and your mental health, especially, protect your mental. You should stand at the doorway of your mind like a sentry at just guarding the most precious treasure you have. And you stand fast at the doorway of your mind and be careful of the things you let in. Not everything you let in your mind you can control once it's inside. Your mental bounces all around. Even in your sleep, your mental is affecting you.
Yes, it is.
So fill your mind with positive things and good things and joyful and enlightening things. When you're, you say take time, for yourself, that's where meditation and fasting comes in to such a big, important part that not enough of us, partake in. When they said Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, ever how long it was, he was fasting and he was separating himself from all of the things that he was dealing with so that he could get his mind right. That time was needed in order for him to manifest and do the things that he did. So just think, if we all take that time, how much more greater could we be?
Well, I think that's powerful for us, because I know that as a wife and a mother and as somebody that works outside of the home, it's important to have a self-care day. And I truly believe in that, because in order for you to be able to deal with other individuals, you have to make sure that you're personally built up. And I remember being guilty a lot of years for taking that time, especially when my children were much smaller. But I recognized how important and vital it was for me to do that, because I could tell when my energy was off, when I wasn't capable of dealing with the kids the right way, because I didn't feel like I had enough time to myself, and I felt overwhelmed, and it affected my relationship with my husband and how I operated at work. So making sure that you have proper time management is important in all these areas, because 24 hours are in the day, but if you don't properly utilize them, it can go by really fast and you haven't accomplished a lot. You know, there are a lot of people who are busy, but they're not getting very much accomplished. So I desire for each of us, tell me how you make this balance between work, life, and home, because all of us are involved in all three of those facets. But how do you make it work for you so that you don't feel like you're succumbed to whatever the world's version of how you successfully manage your time, you know, coincides with what you believe is the best for you. So Arthur, tell me, how do you operate with your time management?
First, it has to be discipline. You have to be very disciplined to it. And you have to set schedules that are realistically that you have to meet on a day-to-day basis. I have a certain time in the morning that I'm going to wake up. When I wake up, the first part of my morning is whether I'm meditating or I'm praying, and I'm going to do that for a few minutes. That's my me time. My next part of my morning is I will get up then and start looking at investment sections and start looking at what's going on in the world. Because I'm still not yet going to start, because I own a business, I'm not yet going to let that start my day off. Because it has to all be in the time and place. Because first I got to take care of me. And first me got to be happy, because if I go into the office place with an attitude, that attitude is going to just be a dominoes effect. And by the end of the day, we have a miserable day.
Right.
And every day is not a great day. And we do have days you go into the office where everything gets like it's going downhill. But if I have a smile on my face when I walk in there, everybody knows something is wrong. But if he's confident that we're going to work it through, they'll do what it takes to get to the next level. But if I walk in there and I'm miserable, then that brings in with them, it will affect them and how they deal with customers and how they deal with situations in there. So that's my first part of it. Now, the part I am guilty that I don't do, and it used to be a very big part, I'll go work out at the gym. I'm not trying to be Hercules or anything, but there was time that I would go in there and just listen to music, and that'll be my time that I'm not thinking about nothing in the world and physically just working my body and just focus on that part of my body I'm working. And I haven't done that in a while, and I'm getting ready to get back into that because I thought that was a very great part of my day-to-day and making sure that I am. Because if I don't do these things, whether I'm dealing with my kids or whether I'm dealing with my business, it's going to show.
It definitely
And
shows up.
they're going to take something out of content because I hadn't dealt with me. And so it has to be disciplined. You have to set schedules, and you have to be consistent with these schedules and make sure everybody around you understand these schedules. Because we know the devil. As soon as you set a schedule, he's going to make sure everything you say you do, by the end of the day, you don't do. So you can wake up in the morning and say, see, I told you it wasn't going to work. So there's actually logic about it, why it's hard to make these, because there's an obstacle out there making sure you don't hit these goals.
So true.
And so you have to take discipline to them, and you have to explain to people what they're doing and make sure that they understand how important this is, because everybody's not going to step what you're doing right off the bat. And it's hard.
Set boundaries.
Yes.
And make sure that everyone respect those boundaries. Make sure that you respect the boundaries that you set for yourself. You know, every one discipline affects the other discipline. If you start to let one of your disciplines slack, it becomes easier to let another discipline slack. And then it's a domino effect. Setting boundaries. When you let someone encroach upon your boundaries, when you start to relax your boundaries and let people impede upon your routines and your disciplines, then it becomes easier to let other things impede upon you. And next thing you know, you done walked down the road and ended up somewhere you didn't want to be.
Now, I do. Now, Anthony, because with you, we're talking about this, but you have another obstacle because of your vision, but you still have to do these. So you even have another obstacle to make it a little tougher. You do, but you make sure you hit these goals. How do you go in there and day to day and notice some things you have to depend on other people, but you still have to achieve this discipline to have the success you have?
Well, I tell you, it's frustrating a lot of times, but I think I've built up a resistance to the disability that I have over the months dealing with COVID and everything. I think I've built up a strong resistance. Matter of fact,
I think we all have.
sometimes, sometimes I get down on myself like everybody else, but mentally, what I try to do, I try to maintain a routine. Like Arthur said, you're not always going to be able to keep that schedule, but what I realize, if I try to hit around that schedule, that I do pretty good. Getting up early in the morning is like a natural thing for me. Before my wife leaves to go to work, she like, "Hey, you been up all?" Yep, I do it every morning. I'm sitting up listening to the news, and then I got a schedule. I know the dog need to be walked before I start really getting into my trading. So I walk the dog, and I try to get me a bite to eat so I can take my medication. And then what really helps when maybe I'm having not such a good day investing or something else going on, I try to start really cleaning up the house. I clean up the house, wash clothes, fold clothes, and that kind of takes my mind off me a lot, because I'm focusing on making sure that when my wife gets home that everything is looking good and neat and what have you. And from time to time, I might even cook something, believe it or not.
10 points for Anthony. Come on, sir.
Go ahead with it. Yeah. That's how you do home.
Yes.
That's how you do home.
Now, before I had the problem with my eyesight the way it is, I used to cook a lot more, and I used to do the yard. But now I got somebody that I pay to do it on a regular basis. But it's still my job to make sure when she drives in the yard that everything looks like it's been maintained. How I got it done doesn't matter, So that's what helps me. And I try to, even dealing with being on this recording, I told Arthur, from time to time I was kicking and screaming like I initially didn't want to be a part. And then, it was like, God spoke to me and said, some people out there in the world is going to hear this and it might motivate them. You might save their life. So I do this not because of wanting to be known. More so, I want them to know that if they got an obstacle like me, they can overcome it if they push forward.
Such a beautiful sentiment. You never know who you're going to touch.
Indeed.
And I think that's part of the beauty of coming together collectively. We all impact each other in a positive way. And sometimes you don't even realize that what you're giving to someone is a lot more than, what you initially anticipated. But sometimes it's exactly what people need. So that's what the beauty of being a willing vessel is all about. Because when you just decide to give up being in control all the time and just allow God to use you, sometimes he'll put you in situations that you feel like are not even going to be beneficial. And sometimes it blesses you more just being able to share, and then you get impact and feedback from people that you did not recognize that you had even touched. And I believe that that's the beauty in sharing. We're all here to enlighten and share with people the knowledge that we've gained. And then when we do that, then we gain something from it, even though what we decided to put into it may not come back to us directly from the people we give it to. Somehow we know that when we plant that seed, that it is going to grow and bring a bountiful harvest in. So I'm thankful for this platform that we even have the opportunity to be able to talk about, the ability to be able to share with other people how we make our decisions, how we come together and balance out life, because life can get tough. And especially with the situation that we have going on right now, a lot of people are not coping well. And sometimes people just need to know they're not the only one. And so when you give them the benefit of your experience, they might be able to utilize that and apply it to their lives. And even if it just touches one, isn't that worth the effort that you're willing to put it in to say, I've touched one life? It always starts with at least one. And why not that one be you? So I'm thankful for all of you that we've been willing to come together and do this. And I think that the more that we come together and do these platforms and discussions where we collectively make a decision that we want to give back to other people, more is going to come back to us, because we all grow through our interaction. And I believe even introverted people, need the benefit of experiencing other people. So even introverted people will have the ability to be able to utilize this. So isn't that a beautiful sentiment that we're able to, share and grow and see people benefit from what we're giving. So hopefully that will encourage us to continue to do this in a way where we see it as a benefit and not as a chore or, as a duty or obligation, but something that we look forward to. I know that I do.
Yeah, exactly. To your people, anybody who has ever spoken with me before about when I get started in on my herbs
that passion comes out.
Yeah, to let people know, because education was once only spread verbally. We communicated to one another.
Absolutely.
The things that we needed to know, the things that we needed to do. Well, we're living in an information age, the technology age right now, where gaining that information is so vast. You can get it from so many different directions. To be able to just plant the seed, let somebody know about goldenrod. So, well, I never heard of a goldenrod, to let somebody know about usnea, I never heard of a usnea. And turn around and it's right there in your yard, and you're like, wow, man, this is exactly what I needed. This is exactly what I needed, to be able to spread that information and help someone. And then when you get confirmation back, that's that drive that pulls you when you see that the information is benefiting others. That is one of the greatest feelings to me in the world. When I can spread information and give somebody, a piece of something that can help them, and it actually helps.
Right.
You can hear the same thing 1,000 times, 1,000 ways, but it may be the way in which we express it. It may be, the way in which we bring it forth to somebody that makes it stick. It may not be now, it may not be tomorrow, but if you can use this information 10 years down the road to your benefit, to increase your life, your health, your vitality, just to make you a better person, to be better for your family and friends, your job or whatnot. That's the purpose. That's my drive. That's what I wake up for every morning, to be a benefit to the world. I'm not here to be a detriment and to be, a lump on a log. I have purpose, and my purpose is to bring forth health and healing and joy to the world. If I do nothing else in my day, 2 things I always do. I make sure that I spread positive energy, and I make sure that I raise God's name. That's the only things I need to do in my day. And everything else is already added. I don't have to worry about anything else.
I'm in full agreement. I feel like it makes
Amen,
everything else fall into place.
Amen.
I'm going to say this. One thing's important. We're 4 different people from 4 different walks of life. But what we're talking about is balance. You have to have balance in your life. I don't care what you do, what you seek. If you don't have balance, you always end up with issues. You always end up with things just not going the way you want. And this is what this is about. It's about balance. That's why we have Anthony talking about investments. That's your future. That's down the road. I'm talking about business ownership and banking. That right there is your presence. They're always at fights with each other. And then Samiya talking about building how you deal with inspirational, how you deal with your emotional side. That's dealing with how you make conscious decisions. And Mr. Mike talking about food and how you eat and how you things. That's dealing with your health. Every day you're dealing with these battles and they don't go away.
That's
and
true.
if one is off balance, you become sick.
Mm-hmm.
Your household become mental illness, physical illness. All this usually is coming from you're off balance. And if you're going out there, you want to own business, you want to be a top athlete, you want to be great at being a mother, being a father, you have to have balance, because without those balance, the success is very hard to get. Now, can you get it without balance? Yes. But they usually at the end becomes a little messy at the end, but balance is what we're about here. And let you understand that this is about balance. How do I balance myself to have the success I want in life so that I can pass this on to my kids? Because what they say, if you do things right, you can pass on inheritance to inheritance from generation to generation, your inheritance generation to generation. But you have to be balanced to be able to allow those things to happen. I can't spend every day working 9 to 5, 15, 20 hours, 15 hours a week, day, and not spending time with my family. Expect balance. And then all of a sudden now I'm having problems with my family. It's about balance.
Well, I think we've got a good balance here. I hope you all agree with me. And I feel like sometimes when you're in balance, you don't even pay attention to the fact that things are always working out for you. Even when it seems like things may be difficult, somehow when you connect with the right people, all the cooperative components seem to come together so that the things that you wanted to accomplish, somehow they're working. Isn't that beneficial when you know that what you've put together is all coming together the way that you pictured it? Sometimes it comes out better than what you thought it was going to do because, all of us have that fear. This is the way I want to accomplish this particular thing. And then something happens that may throw it off. But even in the midst of that, somehow it still works out okay. And at the end of it, you look back at it and go, wow, it still worked out anyway.
Yeah. And I one of my sayings I like to say is there may be something bad that happens in your day, but there's never a bad day. Every day is a blessing.
I love it.
Every day is a blessing in the lessons because we learn every day. And those lessons help you to grow to a balance, like we spoke earlier, maintaining your boundaries, building your discipline. All of those components should build towards a balance and building yourself a balance. Most people never pay attention to actually trying to build a balance. Most people don't know what a balance in their life is because they've lived in confusion for so long, it seems normal.
Sad to say.
Yeah. And so when you're called out, through life happenings, that really puts in your face and shows you that you have no balance, that you have no discipline, then that's when, you find yourself standing in a hard time, taking a real nice long look, and some folks fall to, why me? Why me? Why is all of this happening to me? Once you find a balance, you don't say, why me? Say, try me.
I love it. Absolutely. So I think we're learning the importance of balance, mental acuity, why we want to make the decision that it's important for all of us to do the things that we know bring us into balance. So hopefully all of us have taken something away from what each of us has put into this, but I know that we still have to be committed every day to making sure that we actually apply these things so that the balance can remain, because maintenance is just as important as the decision that we're going to go forward and make these schedules or plans or decisions. In order for us to maintain the healthy balance, we got to make sure that we're checking in with ourselves. So
applying the things, application is manifestation.
Amen.
When you apply these things, then you can manifest anything.
All right, he got some bars going.
Hello?
Now, Anthony, if you didn't want to continue to join us, you could have said that a long time ago, I don't take kindly, to your departures without previous notice. But thank you for rejoining us.
I mean, we talk about balance, and then he just
I think Arthur
go to balance off.
Yeah.
I think Arthur put me on his phone plan.
Ooh.
Shade, no shade.
Well,
now, Anthony, tell us how you plan on making sure that you balance everything in your life. What's your plan to make sure that you're in balance?
Well, I tell you, I try to work on my attitude on a daily basis because I know in most cases that's going to be the only hindrance that I have if I can get my mind to stay on course with my physical, I think I'm gonna be okay. And as my, I guess you'd say, hopefully, I'm praying that God gives me a cure, some kind of stem cell cure for my eyesight, and then I'm really gonna be on fire. But until then, I'm just thanking God that He allows me to spend one more day on this planet Earth, and I'm gonna do what I can physically. If I can have a day without this arthritis, to do a little working out and get with Mike and let him stir me up some food groups so I can get my physical and all that in tune with my mind.
Well, I
And
definitely have something for you, brother. I got something for you.
Just make sure that whatever, plants we're talking about, they're the healthy ones and not the ones some other people want to plant. We don't want any investigations going on here.
I've been jabbing at Mike, so Mike, don't put no poisonous potion.
No. I am strictly about the healing and not about the killing.
Okay. You heard that, America.
Okay.
But
from his mouth to God's ears.
And really, there is, I tell folks all the time that whatever medicine they made, it originated from a plant. And those plants are still here. Although there are a lot of plants that are extinct right now, what we have available, what we have readily available, prepared, and things that we can prepare ourselves, there's something out there for you. There's something out there for you. But, you can't heal unless you're willing to let go of the things that hurt. So that's a base foundation we're going to start from.
That's powerful.
Yes, it is.
We want to thank you all for joining us today. Time goes by so fast when we're discussing our passions, doesn't it?
And hitting the angles.
All the time.
Hitting all the angles.
I love it so much. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope you'll be back with us soon.
One love.